Hi there, my name is Maddie Brooks, and I built a $50 million brand from the ground up. I gave everything to my company, late nights, endless sacrifices, every ounce of my ambition. And for what? To be called useless by my own sister? To have my father look me in the eye and tell me I didn't deserve the empire I created? It started with whispers, strange looks at a corporate gala that should have been my celebration. Then came the boardroom ambush. Sam, my own blood, standing there with legal documents that stripped me of my title, my legacy. And my father? He didn't stop her. He stood by and watched as I lost everything. They thought I'd disappear, that I'd break, that I'd accept my fate and fade into the background. But they forgot one thing. I built this company once. And I could take it back. The evening air was crisp as I stepped out of the black town car, my heels clicking against the marble pavement leading into the grand entrance of the Astoria. The gilded doors swung open, revealing a ballroom drenched in opulence. Gold chandeliers cast a soft glow over crisp white tablecloths, and the air carried the faintest hint of expensive champagne and polished ambition. Tonight was supposed to be a celebration. Brooke & Company had just secured its largest international deal, and I had spent the past 2 years orchestrating every detail. The contracts, the negotiations, the relentless hours. It had all led to this moment. But as I made my way inside, something felt off. The usual warmth I expected from familiar faces was absent. Instead, there were stolen glances, hushed conversations that fell silent the moment I walked by. Investors I had built relationships with for years gave me polite but distant nods. A murmur of unease curled at the edges of my thoughts, but I pushed it aside. This was my night, my success. Derek appeared by my side almost immediately, a glass of whiskey in his hand. His sharp gaze flickered toward me, scanning my face like he could already sense my unease. "You're late," he said, his voice low enough that only I could hear. I smirked, lifting my chin. "Not late, just arriving with impact." He exhaled through his nose, unimpressed. "Something's going on, Maddie." "I don't like it. Relax," I muttered, grabbing a flute of champagne from a passing server. "You're always suspicious before big events." His jaw tightened, but before he could respond, a ripple of attention shifted toward the entrance. The energy in the room changed instantly, drawing eyes away from me. I already knew who had arrived before I even turned. Sam. She stood poised at the top of the staircase, a vision of power in a shimmering midnight blue gown, her smile dazzling under the crystal chandeliers. While I had spent the last 2 years building the company, she had mastered the art of stealing the spotlight. A waiter moved past me, nearly brushing against my shoulder, and I caught the tail end of a hushed conversation nearby. "She doesn't even see it coming." My grip on the champagne glass tightened. William Brooks, our father, was already making his way towards Sam, his expression softer than I'd seen in years. He clapped a hand on her back, turning toward the investors gathered nearby. "My daughter, Sam," he declared, his voice carrying across the room. "A natural leader, wouldn't you say?" The crowd nodded, murmured approval following his words. Not a single mention of the deal. Not a single mention of the years I had poured into making this night possible. The murmur in my head grew louder. Derek shifted beside me, setting his glass down with deliberate care. "You see what I mean now?" I forced a smile, lifting my champagne, as if to toast to nothing at all. It's just William being William. But I knew better. Something was happening, something big. I moved through the room, shaking hands, offering practice smiles, but my mind was elsewhere. The whispers, the stolen glances, Sam's too-perfect entrance. By the time dessert was served, I was barely touching the chocolate souffle in front of me. The unease had curled into something heavier, sitting low in my stomach. I needed fresh air. Stepping out onto the balcony, I inhaled deeply, trying to shake the tension gripping my chest. The city stretched out before me, glittering and endless, but for the first time, I felt small. Derek's voice cut through the night air behind me. "Maddie, I need to talk to you." I turned, seeing the serious set of his jaw, the way his hands curled into fists at his sides. "There's something you don't know about tomorrow's board meeting." My pulse skipped. The cold air suddenly felt sharper, like a warning I had failed to see coming. "Maddie, sit down," William Brooks says, his voice colder than I have ever heard before. The conference room is eerily silent, save for the rhythmic ticking of the antique clock mounted on the wall. I glance around, taking in the unreadable expressions of the board members. The air is thick with something I can't quite place. Anticipation, tension, perhaps even regret. Sam sits beside William, her posture too poised, her lips curved in the faintest smirk. She doesn't even try to look surprised that I'm here. This isn't a meeting, it's an execution. Derek stands in the far corner, arms crossed, his face unreadable. But I know him too well. His jaw is tight, his stance rigid. He knows what's coming. William clears his throat, shifting in his seat like he's uncomfortable. But the glint in his eyes tells me otherwise. "Maddie, we've made a decision regarding the company's leadership." The room seems to close in. My fingers tighten around the edge of the chair, knuckles pressing white against my skin. Sam flips through a stack of papers in front of her, her nails tapping rhythmically against the polished wood table. She doesn't look at me. She doesn't have to. "Brook and Company needs a leader with a broader vision," she says smoothly. "Someone who understands the corporate world at a strategic level." I blink. "Excuse me?" She finally meets my gaze, and for a brief moment, I see the victory dancing in her eyes. "Effective immediately," she continues. "I will be stepping in as the new CEO." The words land like a slap, a sharp, cold sting that leaves me breathless. My gaze snaps to William, expecting, no, needing him to say something, to stop this, to tell me this is a mistake. But he doesn't. Instead, he nods. "This is what's best for the company. I hope you'll understand, Maddie." Understand? I grip the chair tighter, my nails digging into the leather. My pulse pounds in my ears, but I force my voice to stay level. "You're removing me? After everything I've done for this company?" Sam leans forward, resting her chin on her interlaced fingers. "Did you really think you built this alone?" My stomach twists. She tilts her head, feigning sympathy. "While you were busy designing products and running day-to-day operations, I was securing the future. Investors need more than ideas, Maddie. They need leadership, stability, vision." My mouth parts, but no words come. William watches me, waiting for a response. But what can I possibly say? That I've dedicated my life to Brook and Company? That I've bled for it, sacrificed for it? That every success they're celebrating came at the cost of my time, my energy, my very sense of self? And yet, here I am, disposable. How long? My voice is quieter than I intend. Sam arches a brow. "How long have you been planning this?" She exhales, sitting back. "Months." The answer slices through me. I look around the table, searching for something, someone, to contradict this, to say this isn't how things should be. But the faces staring back at me are blank. No one speaks. Even Derek, who hasn't moved from his corner, looks away. "Unbelievable," I murmur. William leans back, clasping his hands. "You'll receive a generous severance package, of course." My body turns cold. "A severance package." "Let's not be dramatic," Sam sighs. "You'll be well taken care of." I stare at her, my chest rising and falling with barely contained fury. "You'll regret this, Sam." Her smirk widens. Doubtful. The room feels suffocating. I push my chair back, the legs scraping against the hardwood as I stand. No one stops me. No one calls my name. My heels echo against the marble floor as I make my way to the exit, back rigid, chin high. But as I step into the elevator, the weight of it all crashes over me. My title, gone. My father, lost. My sister, my greatest enemy. The doors slide shut, trapping me in the suffocating silence. This isn't over, not even close. You really thought I'd just walk away? I say, my voice dangerously calm, as I meet Derek in a dimly lit cafe. The scent of freshly brewed coffee lingers in the air, but I barely register it. The city hums outside the rain-speckled windows, but the noise feels distant, irrelevant. My fingers drum against the ceramic cup in front of me, its warmth doing little to thaw the ice that has settled in my chest since this morning. Derek watches me carefully from across the table, his expression unreadable. Honestly, I wasn't sure, he admits. But I know you, Maddie. You don't quit. You don't back down. I let out a slow breath, tilting my head. Then why do I feel like I've already lost? He leans forward, elbows on the table. Because you're still in shock. But this isn't over, not even close. The weight of his words hangs between us, but doubt still gnaws at me. They humiliated me, Derek. Sam didn't just take my position, she took my legacy. And William. He let her. He exhales sharply. William made his choice, but that doesn't mean it was the right one. I shift my gaze toward the window, watching as headlights blur past on the wet pavement. The betrayal plays on repeat in my mind. Sam's smirk, William's cold nod, the silence of the boardroom as they collectively decided I was disposable. For the first time in my life, I don't know what to do next. Come on, Derek says suddenly, tapping his fingers against the table. We need a plan. I scoff, shaking my head. A plan? To do what? Sue my own company? Take Sam to court? She played this too well, Derek. She got to the investors first. She had months to prepare, and My voice falters. I didn't see it coming. Derek doesn't respond right away. Instead, he reaches into his briefcase and pulls out a worn manila folder. I frown. What's that? Your way back in. I glance between him and the folder, skepticism creeping into my tone. Derek, just look at it. I hesitate before taking the file, flipping it open. The moment my eyes land on the first page, my breath catches. It's an old contract, one from when I first helped restructure Brook & Company after our international expansion. My fingers skim over the familiar legal jargon, memories flooding back. And then, I see it. A clause. Derek taps a highlighted section with the edge of his pen. You still own 49% of the company, Maddie. And this, he gestures toward the clause, gives you leverage. If Brook & Company changes its core business model without your consent, you have the legal right to challenge their leadership and reclaim your stake. The words blur for a moment as I process what he's saying. I sit up straighter. And Sam doesn't know this? His lips twitch. I doubt she even remembers it exists. She was too busy playing politics while you were actually running the company. For the first time since this morning, something shifts inside me. A spark. A flicker of something dangerous and familiar. Hope. I close the folder and meet Derek's gaze. We need to make sure she takes the bait. She has to make a move that triggers this clause. Derek grins. Now that's the Maddie I know. Meanwhile, across the city, in a sleek office with floor-to-ceiling windows, Sam Brooks sits behind what used to be my desk. She leans back in her chair, scrolling through the flood of congratulatory emails, barely acknowledging the assistant placing a fresh coffee beside her. Her phone buzzes. A message from an anonymous number. Your sister built this company's reputation. You just took the title. Prove you deserve it. Her jaw clenches. Victory, it seems, is proving to be more complicated than she anticipated. Back in the cafe, I slip the contract into my bag, my mind already working through my next move. This isn't just about getting my job back. It's about taking everything. You don't just walk into my office without an appointment, Maddie, Sam hisses. But there's a flicker of fear in her eyes. I take my time, letting the weight of my presence settle into the space. The office is different, redesigned in Sam's image, with sleek black furniture and gold accents, the kind of decor that screams power and control. But beneath the polished surface, I see it for what it is. An illusion. I shut the door behind me and cross the room, my heels clicking against the marble floor. It used to be my office, I say evenly, settling into the chair across from her desk. I don't need an appointment. Sam leans back, draping an arm over the leather armrest, her smirk returning. You came to beg for your job back? Because if so, this is just sad. I smile, slow and deliberate. I came to remind you that I'm still here. She scoffs, tapping her nails against the glass surface of her desk. You don't have anything left, Maddie. No title, no authority, no leverage. She tilts her head slightly. You're irrelevant now. I fold my hands in my lap, keeping my expression unreadable. Then why do you sound nervous? The muscles in her jaw tighten for a fraction of a second before she masks it with a laugh. You're delusional. Maybe, I say lightly. Or maybe you're not as untouchable as you think. For the first time, uncertainty flickers in her gaze. Just a crack, but enough for me to see it. She straightens, smoothing the front of her blazer. You can glare at me all you want, but the fact remains, you lost. Brooke & Company is mine now. I hum under my breath, as if considering her words. Funny, that's exactly what I used to think. A flash of irritation crosses her face. She expected me to crumble. She wanted me to lash out in anger, to storm in here screaming about betrayal. But I won't give her the satisfaction. Instead, I rise from my seat with an air of indifference. Enjoy your throne while it lasts, Sam. Nothing stays the same forever. I turn and head for the door, leaving her staring after me. The moment I step into the hallway, the tension coiled in my muscles finally unwinds. The employees around me glance my way, some quickly looking away, others offering sympathetic half-smiles. But I don't stop to acknowledge them. Not yet. Outside the building, Derek waits by the curb, leaning against his car. He watches me carefully as I approach. How did it go? I exhale through my nose. She's predictable. That's good for us. Derek tilts his head. And? I slip on my sunglasses and smirk. She's scared. That night, I sit in a quiet corner of a high-end steakhouse, facing Richardson, one of Brooke & Company's biggest shareholders. The older man swirls the whiskey in his glass, studying me with sharp, assessing eyes. So, he says after a moment, what exactly are you proposing? I take a sip of my drink before meeting his gaze. A safety net, I say smoothly. For you, for the company. We both know Brooke & Company wasn't built on Sam's vision. Investors trusted me to steer the ship. But now she's at the helm, making reckless moves. Richardson strokes his chin, thoughtful. And what makes you so sure she'll fail? I set my glass down carefully. Because she thinks the title makes her untouchable. But the moment she shifts Brooke & Company's direction without investor consent, that illusion shatters. He doesn't respond immediately, but I see the gears turning. He may not be ready to commit yet, but he's intrigued. And that's all I need for now. Later that night, across the city, Sam sits at her desk, scrolling through reports when her phone buzzes. A message from an unknown number. Your sister is making moves. You need to stop her before she gets too far. Sam tightens her grip on the phone. She thought I would stay down. She thought wrong. Her laptop screen illuminates her face as she starts typing. If I want a war, she'll make sure it's a fight I won't survive. You need to be careful, Maddie, Derek warns. Sam won't hesitate to destroy you if she has to. She already tried, I mutter, stopping near the kitchen island. She stole my company. What more can she do? There's a pause. Then Derek exhales sharply. You're underestimating her. I don't respond. Because the truth is, I know he's right. Across town, in a high-rise office with floor-to-ceiling windows, Sam sits opposite a well-dressed man in a charcoal suit. We need to paint a different picture of Maddie, he says smoothly, flipping through a stack of documents. If we make people doubt her past leadership, they won't trust her comeback. Sam's lips curl into a slow smirk. And how do we do that? He leans forward, tapping a finger against the papers. We control the narrative, highlight every risk she took, every mistake she made, make them question whether she was really as competent as they believed. Sam nods. Do it. The next morning, my phone won't stop buzzing. I rub my temples before grabbing it off the counter, already bracing for whatever fresh hell is waiting for me. Derek's name flashes across the screen. "You need to see this," he says the moment I answer. I open my laptop, navigating to Business Insider. My stomach clenches at the headline. Was Maddie Brooks' success a lie? Inside the questionable leadership of Brooke and Company, a sharp breath escapes me as I scan the article. It's a carefully crafted attack, full of half-truths and twisted facts. My leadership style is described as reckless, my business strategies labeled as risky gambles. Words like unstable and erratic are thrown in just enough to plant doubt. My hands tighten into fists. On the television across the room, CNBC is airing a panel discussion. The problem with Maddie Brooks, one commentator says, adjusting his tie, is that she never truly fit the mold of a traditional CEO. She was creative, sure, but creativity doesn't always translate to strong leadership. Another panelist nods. And let's not forget, Brooke and Company wasn't built in a vacuum. Her sister, Sam Brooks, has been instrumental in stabilizing the company's future. A bitter laugh escapes me. Stabilizing? She stole it. My phone rings again. "Maddie, we have a problem," Derek says, voice sharp. "Someone leaked internal documents, fake ones. They make it look like you were involved in financial mismanagement before you stepped down." The room tilts slightly. I grip the edge of the counter. "What?" "It's bad," he continues. "They're circulating through investor circles, and people are starting to question whether you really ran the company as cleanly as you claimed." My pulse pounds in my ears. Sam. It has to be her. I force myself to take a breath, shoving down the surge of anger rising in my chest. "Can we prove they're fake?" "We're working on it," Derek says. "But perception is everything, and right now, the perception is that you're a liability." I close my eyes for a brief second before opening them again. She's trying to erase me. She took my company. Now she wants my reputation too, but I won't let her have it. An hour later, I step into the boardroom of a downtown office. The sleek glass walls reflect the city skyline behind me, but I barely notice. A major investor is waiting inside. I take a steady breath and step forward. Then I see her. Sam is already sitting at the conference table, legs crossed, a knowing smirk on her face. Our eyes lock. This battle just became personal. "You didn't think I'd just sit back and watch, did you?" Sam smirks, crossing her arms. The conference room is thick with tension, the air almost stifling under the weight of expectation. A long mahogany table stretches between us, polished to a pristine shine that reflects the faces of the investors sitting on either side. I force myself to stay calm, my fingers tightening around the chair before I sink into it. Across from me, Sam leans back, every inch of her posture radiating arrogance. The investor at the head of the table, Mr. Caldwell, clears his throat. "Maddie, there are serious concerns about your past leadership. Can you explain these financial discrepancies?" I meet his gaze without hesitation. "They're fabricated," I say smoothly, "designed to discredit me." Caldwell raises an eyebrow. "Fabricated?" Before I can answer, Sam tilts her head, feigning curiosity. "Are you saying the records are fake, Maddie?" "Because the board has seen them." My jaw clenches. She's good, twisting the narrative, making me look defensive before I can even present my side. I take a breath and straighten my shoulders. Let's be clear, this isn't about my past leadership, it's about control. Brooke and Company has thrived under my direction for years, and now that I'm gone, certain people are eager to rewrite history. A murmur ripples through the room. A few investors exchange glances, their confidence in Sam wavering. Good. I shift my focus to Caldwell. "You all know my record. I built this company's brand. I turned it from a struggling name into an industry leader. You've seen the growth, the numbers, the client expansions. And now, suddenly, these so-called discrepancies appear the moment I challenge my removal?" Sam exhales a short laugh, shaking her head. "Conspiracies won't save you, Maddie. Facts will. I turn toward the investors, ignoring her. What you don't know, I continue, voice measured, is that someone inside Brook & Company wants to change everything, including who owns it. Silence. Sam's fingers twitch slightly against the surface of the table. I press forward. You think this is about keeping Brook & Company strong? Look deeper. Ask yourselves who benefits if I'm erased from the picture. The investors shift, uncertainty creeping into their expressions. I glance at Sam. Her lips tighten into a thin line. She knows I'm not just defending myself. I'm planting seeds of doubt in their minds. Caldwell exhales, rubbing his temples. We'll need to conduct our own internal review, he finally says, to verify these claims. Sam nods, recovering quickly. Of course, she says smoothly. Transparency is important. I stand. It certainly is. Our eyes lock once more, an unspoken warning passing between us. Later that night, my phone buzzes. Derek. I answer on the first ring. Tell me you have something. There's a pause. Then his voice drops, urgent. You're not going to believe this. I sit up, heart pounding. What? I just got intel. Sam had a private meeting with a rep from Lancaster Group last week. My stomach twists. The fashion conglomerate? The very one. I grip the phone tighter. Lancaster Group has been circling Brook & Company for years, trying to acquire it. Sam isn't just trying to take control, she's trying to sell the company. Derek exhales. She's playing a whole different game, Maddie. I close my eyes briefly, letting the weight of it settle. Then I open them, staring out at the city skyline. My blood cools, my mind sharpening. If Sam wants to play dirty, I say, voice low, then let's see how she handles this. I need you to leak something to the press, I tell Derek, my voice steady. Sam's about to have a very bad week. Derek exhales, setting his drink down on the table between us. We're sitting in the dimly lit back room of a high-end steakhouse, tucked away from prying eyes. The rich scent of seared meat lingers in the air, but neither of us are paying attention to the food. You're sure about this? He asks, leaning forward. I meet his gaze. Absolutely. He studies me for a long moment before nodding. All right. What's the play? I slide my phone across the table, the screen displaying a confidential document, one that outlines Sam's private meetings with Lancaster Group, our biggest competitor. This, I say. Brook & Company isn't just her pet project. She's looking for a buyer. Derek whistles under his breath. If the board finds out she's selling, they'll lose their minds. Exactly, I say. We need to time this perfectly. If the press gets wind of this before she has time to control the narrative, she won't be able to bury it. Derek taps his fingers against the table, thinking. I know a guy. A journalist over at the Wall Street Report. He's reliable, and he won't print anything without verification. Good, I say, my pulse steady, my mind sharp. Let's do it. Derek pulls out his laptop, fingers flying over the keys as he crafts the message. We attach the documents, careful to remove any trace of where they came from. The moment he hits send, there's no turning back. Now we wait. It doesn't take long. By the next morning, the headlines have already taken over the business world. Brook & Company CEO Samantha Brooks in talks to sell company to rival corporation. Power move or betrayal? Sources say Brook & Company may no longer be family-owned. I sit back on my couch, scrolling through article after article. It's working. The phone rings. Derek, did you see it? He asks, the grin in his voice evident. Oh, I saw it, I murmur. And so did the board. Inside Brook & Company, Sam storms into the conference room, slamming the morning's paper down onto the table. The faces around her are grim. A senior board member, Mr. Hathaway, leans back in his chair, arms crossed. Explain this, Sam. Were you planning to sell us out? Sam straightens, smoothing her blazer. This is taken out of context, she says coolly. Lancaster Group was interested in a partnership, not an acquisition. Hathaway isn't buying it. A partnership? Funny, because the Wall Street report seems to think otherwise. Another board member, Ms. Langford, raises an eyebrow. Sam, we backed you because you promised stability. This is not stability. Sam clenches her jaw. I have everything under control. No one looks convinced. Her hands tighten into fists beneath the table. She knows exactly who's behind this. Later, that night, I'm in my apartment, pouring a glass of whiskey, when my phone pings with an email notification. The sender is anonymous. The subject line reads, "You need to see this." Frowning, I open it. Inside is a single message. I have information that can help you. Meet me tomorrow at 8 p.m. Don't trust anyone. I stare at the words, my heart pounding. Derek looks over from where he's seated. What is it? I turn the screen toward him. His brows furrow. That could be a setup. Or it could be the break we need, I counter. A heavy silence stretches between us. I look back at the email, my fingers hovering over the reply button. If this is real, I might have just found my way back into Brooke and Company. If it's a setup, I could lose everything. Are you sure about this, Maddie? Derek asks. This could be dangerous. I glance at him from the driver's seat, gripping the wheel a little tighter. The city lights blur past as I navigate the downtown streets, heading toward the meeting location. The weight of what I'm about to do sits heavy in my chest, but there's no room for hesitation now. I don't have a choice, I say, voice steady. If this person has real intel on Sam, I need to hear it. Derek exhales, rubbing his temple. Just don't let your guard down. Whoever this is, they reached out anonymously for a reason. I nod, but keep my eyes on the road. He's right, of course. This could be a setup. But if there's even a chance that I can get something on Sam, something real, I have to take it. The bar is tucked away in a quiet part of the city, the kind of place that doesn't ask questions. A red neon sign flickers above the entrance, casting a dim glow onto the wet pavement. I park, turning off the engine, and glance at Derek. You stay out here, I say. His brows knit together. Maddie. I need to do this alone. He doesn't like it, but after a long moment, he nods. Fine, but I'll be watching. I step out of the car and into the dimly lit bar. The smell of aged whiskey and cigarette smoke clings to the air, and low jazz hums from the speakers. A few patrons sit scattered around, lost in their drinks and conversations, oblivious to my arrival. I scan the room. Then I see her. A woman, mid-40s, with sharp eyes and an air of quiet authority, sitting at a corner booth. Her blonde hair is pulled back into a low bun, and she stirs a drink absently, but her gaze is fixed on me the moment I step inside. I make my way over, sliding into the seat across from her. Madeline Brooks? She asks, voice hushed but firm. I nod. You know my name. What's yours? She glances around before leaning in slightly. Eleanor Grayson, Senior Financial Officer at Brooke & Company. My breath stills for half a second. You worked for my father, I murmur. I did, she confirms. And now I work for your sister, but not for much longer. I narrow my eyes. Why are you helping me? Eleanor exhales, reaching into her bag and pulling out a small USB drive. She places it on the table between us. Because what Sam is doing isn't just unethical, it's illegal. I stare at the drive, heart hammering. What's on it? Financial records, Eleanor says. Real ones. Sam manipulated the company's books to inflate revenue numbers. She needed them to look solid when she took over, needed the board to trust her leadership. But the truth? She's been funneling money into private accounts, falsifying reports to make it seem like Brooke & Company is thriving under her watch. If this gets out, she's finished. I don't reach for the drive yet. I keep my expression unreadable, even as adrenaline courses through me. You're sure about this? I ask. Eleanor nods. I've been gathering proof for weeks. The numbers don't lie, Maddie. Your sister built her empire on fraud, and if she's willing to do this, who knows what else she's planning? I finally pick up the drive, turning it over between my fingers. This is it. This is what I need to take her down, not just in the court of public opinion, but legally. You should be careful, Eleanor warns. Sam isn't stupid. She'll realize someone on the inside gave this to you. I slip the drive into my pocket. Let her. Meanwhile, at Brooke and Company, Sam stands in her office, arms crossed, as she stares at the security logs on her laptop. Someone has been accessing restricted files. Someone from her own company. Her lips press into a thin line as she leans back in her chair. She should have known. Whoever it is, she murmurs, fingers tapping against the desk. They won't get away with it. Back at Maddie's apartment, Derek paces as I plug the USB drive into my laptop, pulling up the files. The screen floods with documents, spreadsheets, transaction logs, financial reports, all of it meticulously detailed. Jesus, Derek mutters. She really did it. I scroll through the evidence, my pulse steady. This is enough to challenge her legally, I say. With these records, we can prove she lied to the board. Derek nods, but his expression is cautious. Then we move carefully. She'll try to cover her tracks the second she finds out we have this. My laptop dings with a new message. I frown, clicking it open. A single text from an unknown number. Nice move, Maddie. But do you really think I wouldn't find out? My stomach clenches. Derek steps closer, reading over my shoulder. Shit. I grip my phone, my heart racing. The real war has just begun. She knows, Derek. We have to move fast before she destroys the evidence. I pace the length of Derek's office, my hands clenched at my sides. The room is dim, the only light coming from the desk lamp illuminating the mess of papers, files, and the open laptop in front of us. Every second counts. Derek rubs his temples before exhaling sharply. We need to verify everything first. If we make a move and there's even a tiny mistake, Sam will spin it against you. I stop pacing and grip the back of the chair. Then we work through the night. He nods, already pulling up the spreadsheets. The USB drive Eleanor gave me contains months of manipulated records, numbers doctored to make Brooke and Company look stronger than it actually is. Transactions funneled into hidden accounts, inflated revenue reports. It's all here, black and white. And if we don't act soon, Sam will bury it. I grab my phone, scrolling through my contacts. There are investors who still believe in me, people who trusted my leadership before Sam forced me out. If I leak the right details, I can plant enough doubt that the board will have no choice but to demand answers. Derek looks up from his screen. What's your plan? I meet his gaze. I'm going to give them something they can't ignore. I start with Mrs. Linton, a longtime shareholder, a woman who built her empire from the ground up and doesn't tolerate dishonesty. I type a message, attaching a snippet of the manipulated financial statements. Mrs. Linton, you've always valued integrity in business. I thought you should see this before you hear it from someone else. I press send and lean back, my pulse steady. The message is vague but effective. It won't take her long to realize what's happening. Derek watches me. And now? Now, I say. We wait. The response comes faster than expected. Maddie! What the hell is this? Call me. I glance at Derek before dialing her number. She picks up immediately. Is this real? She demands, skipping pleasantries. Sam's been lying about the financials? I keep my voice even. I wouldn't bring this to you if I wasn't certain. And it's only the tip of the iceberg. Silence. Then, in a quieter voice, does the board know? Not yet, I admit. But they will soon. A sharp breath on the other end. I want a full financial report on my desk by the end of the week. And if this turns out to be true, Sam is finished. I smile. I was hoping you'd say that. By morning, the rumors are already circulating. Investors are whispering. The board is uneasy. And Sam? She's furious. She storms into Brooke and Company, slamming her office door so hard the walls shake. Her assistant flinches as she tosses a folder onto her desk. Find out who's leaking information, she snaps. The assistant nods quickly and scurries out. Sam exhales, pressing her fingers against her temples. This isn't part of the plan. The company was supposed to be under her complete control by now. But Maddie, damn her, just won't stay down. She straightens, fixing her blazer. Fine. If Maddie wants a fight, Sam will give her one. That afternoon, the board receives an emergency meeting notice. Sam's name is stamped at the bottom. She's trying to get ahead of this, trying to control the damage before it spreads too far. But it's too late. As the board gathers in the glass-walled conference room, the tension is thick. Some members exchange skeptical glances. Others tap their fingers against the polished table, waiting. Sam stands at the head of the room, expression composed. These rumors are designed to destabilize our company, she begins smoothly. We need to stand united against misinformation and speculation. A few nod. Others remain silent. Then the doors swing open. I step inside. A slow, confident smile spreads across my face as I take a seat at the table, directly across from Sam. She stiffens. You're not supposed to be here, she says coldly. I fold my hands in front of me. Oh, I think you'll want to hear what I have to say. Sam's expression darkens. The game has changed, and this time, I'm the one holding the cards. Ladies and gentlemen, I have something very interesting to show you. I place a thick folder on the conference table, my fingers pressing against the manila edges as I glance around the room. The tension is suffocating, but I remain calm, controlled. Every pair of eyes is locked on me, but the one I care about most belongs to my sister. Sam sits rigidly across from me, her arms crossed, jaw tight. She doesn't blink, but I see the way her fingers twitch against the table, the way her nails dig into the polished wood. She's nervous. Good. I flip the folder open, revealing the printed spreadsheets, transaction records, and internal emails that Eleanor provided. My voice is even, but the weight of my words fills every inch of the room. These documents show discrepancies in Brooke & Company's financial reports, discrepancies that started when Sam took over as CEO. A murmur spreads across the table. Board members lean in, eyes scanning the papers, as the reality of the situation begins to sink in. Sam scoffs. This is nonsense. Maddie is just bitter about losing her position. I smile. Am I? I slide a specific page forward, tapping my finger against a column of numbers. Then explain this. Revenue inflation, falsified profit margins, and accounts that don't exist. All of it conveniently benefiting you, Sam. But I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation. Her nostrils flare. You're grasping at straws, she says, voice sharp. This is nothing but a desperate attempt to undermine me. I shrug. Then you won't mind if we conduct a full audit, will you? The room goes silent. I turn my head toward Mr. Caldwell, a senior board member who has been with the company since my father founded it. He leans back in his chair, rubbing his chin thoughtfully before looking at Sam. That's a fair request, he says. If there's nothing to hide, then an external investigation should clear everything up, right? For the first time, genuine fear flashes in Sam's eyes. She opens her mouth, ready to argue, but before she can speak, another voice cuts through the room. Sam, Richard Greer, one of her strongest allies on the board, clears his throat. He adjusts his glasses, looking at her with something that resembles disappointment. I've stood by you, but I can't ignore these numbers. If you can't explain them, I won't support you anymore. Sam stiffens. Her hands curl into fists. I see it. The moment she realizes she's losing control. The walls she built are beginning to crack. This is ridiculous, she spits out, but her voice lacks the confidence it held before. Maddie is manipulating you all. She's playing a game, trying to get revenge because she lost. I tilt my head. You're right about one thing, I say. I did lose something. But it wasn't just my position. It was my trust in you. The weight of my words lingers in the air. Silence. Then Mr. Caldwell speaks again, his voice firm. I'm calling for an external investigation into Brooke & Company's finances. Effective immediately. A ripple of agreement spreads through the room. Some nod. Others exchange cautious glances. But no one objects. The decision is made. Sam pushes back from the table, her chair scraping against the floor. "You'll regret this," she says through clenched teeth. I meet her glare head-on. "I doubt it." She storms out, leaving the tension thick behind her. I exhale, barely audible, before glancing at Derek. "This isn't over yet," I whisper as we exit the boardroom, the hum of murmured voices following us. "But we just made her bleed." I walk down the hallway, feeling the tide turning in my favor for the first time. "We need to prepare for whatever Sam does next," I say, my voice firm. "She won't go down without a fight." Derek leans against his desk, arms crossed. "She's cornered, Maddie. That makes her dangerous." I know he's right. Sam doesn't lose. At least, not without taking someone else down with her. As the sun sets over Manhattan, I watch the city from Derek's office window. The battle isn't over. If anything, it's about to get uglier. Sam slams her office door so hard that a picture frame rattles on the wall. She paces, her mind racing. She lost control in that boardroom. Maddie humiliated her. And now, with an external investigation looming over Brooke and Company, the walls are closing in. Her assistant hesitates at the door. "Ms. Brooks, I have the investor reports you asked for." Sam snatches them, scanning the pages. Investors are worried. Shares have fluctuated since the financial leak. Calls are pouring in. She clenches her teeth. This is Maddie's doing. Sam inhales sharply, pushing her hair back. If she wants to win, she needs to shift the narrative. She needs to remind everyone who the real Maddie Brooks is. She grabs her phone. "Get me a primetime interview, CNBC or Bloomberg. I don't care which. Just make it happen." Her assistant rushes out, and Sam smirks. If Maddie thinks she's the only one who can manipulate public perception, she's in for a surprise. I sit across from Richard Greer, one of the company's major investors, at an upscale restaurant in Midtown. The air smells of grilled steak and aged wine, but I have no appetite. Richard swirls his glass of bourbon, watching me. "You've put Sam in a bad position," he says, amusement flickering in his eyes. I meet his gaze. "Sam put herself in a bad position. I just exposed it." He chuckles. "Fair enough. But you know what's coming next, don't you?" I nod. "She's not just going to sit back. She'll try to regain control." He leans forward, resting his elbows on the table. "I'll be honest, Maddie. I've been skeptical about Sam's leadership for a while. If you can stabilize things, you'll have my full backing." Relief swells in my chest, but I don't let it show. That's all I needed to hear. The next morning, Sam sits in front of a camera, her face calm and collected. "Brooke and Company has always been my father's legacy," she tells the interviewer. "It's heartbreaking to see it torn apart by personal vendettas." The journalist tilts her head. "You're referring to your sister?" Sam sighs, looking away briefly before meeting the camera again. "Maddie is passionate, but she's letting emotions dictate her actions. I'm trying to lead this company into the future. She's trying to pull it into the past." The interview airs within hours. News outlets pick up the sound bites. Sam is painting herself as the victim, the responsible leader trying to steer the company through chaos. I watch it play out on a loop in Derek's office, my arms crossed as frustration builds inside me. Derek exhales. "She's good, I'll give her that." I shake my head. "She's lying through her teeth." "But people believe her," he points out. "At least some do." I glance at my phone. Investors are calling, wanting reassurances. I'm about to respond when an alert flashes across my screen. A news headline: "Maddie Brooks's troubled past, the untold story behind Brooke and Company." I freeze. My stomach twists as I click the link. The article is full of half-truths, exaggerations twisted just enough to make me look reckless, impulsive. It digs up old business decisions, mistakes that were rectified but now seem damning. It even hints at personal struggles, things that have no place in a business conversation. "Sam just made this personal," I mutter. Derek skims the article. "She's trying to discredit you, make you look unstable." I grip the edge of his desk, my nails pressing into the wood. I won't let her win. The next morning, as I step out of my car in front of Brooke and Company, Reporters swarm like vultures. Cameras flash. Maddie, do you have a response to the allegations? Is it true you've been unstable for years? Do you plan to step away from Brooke and Company entirely? I straighten my shoulders, keeping my face unreadable. Sam wanted a war? She was about to get one. Get me a press conference, I say, my eyes blazing. It's time to set the record straight. Derek gives me a sharp nod before pulling out his phone. This is risky, Maddie, he warns. Once you speak, you can't take it back. I don't need to take it back, I reply. I just need to make sure the truth drowns out Sam's lies. The conference room at the Four Seasons is packed. Reporters fill the seats, cameras pointed at the podium where I stand. The air crackles with tension. I glance at Derek standing in the back, his arms crossed, nodding once. He believes in me, that's enough. I step forward, my voice steady. I won't let lies define me. I scan the crowd, letting the silence stretch before continuing. The real issue here isn't my personal life, it's the future of Brooke and Company. Flashes from the cameras flicker as I continue. My leadership has been called into question. But let's talk facts. I built this brand. I expanded our reach, secured major partnerships, and brought in billions. And yet, my qualifications are being questioned because of a desperate smear campaign? A murmur ripples through the crowd. I flip open the folder on the podium, revealing slides behind me on the projector. This is Brooke and Company's financial trajectory during my tenure, I say, gesturing to the chart. We experienced record-breaking growth. Now let's look at the numbers since my removal. The graph shifts. The numbers show a clear decline under Sam's leadership. The room goes silent. Facts don't lie, I say. And neither do I. The tension is thick. A journalist in the front row raises his hand. So you're saying your sister is unfit to lead? I pause, choosing my words carefully. I'm saying Brooke and Company deserves leadership that doesn't rely on deception. I'm saying this company, which my father built and I helped elevate, deserves better. Another journalist jumps in. Are you pushing for her removal? I don't hesitate. I'm pushing for what's best for this company. If the board believes that's me, then I'm ready to step up. Meanwhile, across the city, Sam watches the press conference from her office. Her nails dig into the armrest of her chair, her knuckles white. She's turning them against me, she hisses, her voice sharp with rage. Her assistant shifts uncomfortably, but doesn't say a word. Sam throws a glass at the wall, the shatter echoing through the room. Get me in front of a camera, she snaps. We need to counter this now. Her assistant hesitates. Actually, there's something else you should see. She hands Sam an envelope marked confidential. Sam rips it open, scanning the contents. Her breath catches. It's the results of the financial audit. She flips through the pages, her heartbeat pounding in her ears. Severe financial discrepancies under the current leadership. Multiple unapproved transactions tied to offshore accounts. Sam's stomach twists. If this report gets out, she's finished. She slams the folder shut. Nobody sees this. Understood? Her assistant nods quickly. Yes, ma'am. But Sam knows. The board will see it. And when they do, it won't matter what she says. That night, I sit with Derek, going over the numbers once again. You did what you had to do, he says. The investors are responding. You've got more support than ever. I nod, exhaling. It's not over yet. Derek's phone buzzes. He glances at the screen, then looks up at me. The board just called an emergency meeting. I straighten. When? Tomorrow morning. I meet his gaze. This is it. The final battle. We will now take the final vote, the board chair announces. The future of Brooke and Company depends on this decision. The conference room is silent, except for the ticking of the antique clock mounted on the far wall. The weight of this moment presses down on everyone seated around the long mahogany table. I sit at one end, my hands clasped together, my posture unwavering. Across from me, Sam reclines in her chair, her expression carefully composed. But I know her too well. Beneath the poised exterior, she's unraveling. Our father, William Brooks, sits near the edge of the room, arms crossed, his face unreadable. He hasn't spoken much, merely observing as his daughters battle for control of his empire. His silence carries more power than anything he could say. Before we vote, both parties may present their final statements. The board chair continues. Ms. Brooks, you may begin. Sam straightens, smoothing a hand over the lapel of her expensive blazer. When she speaks, her voice is silk, calm, controlled, and insidiously persuasive. Under my leadership, Brooke & Company has pursued bold new strategies, taking aggressive steps toward modernizing our business model. The last thing we need is to revert to the past. She flicks a glance at me. A calculated move, implying that my reinstatement would be a step backward. She continues, pulling up a financial presentation on the boardroom screen. Here, you'll see the initiatives I have implemented to position us for global expansion. These figures represent progress. The future of Brooke & Company depends on forward momentum, not nostalgia. She smiles, the picture of confidence. A brilliant performance, except for one problem. She's lying. I wait for her to finish, allowing the room to sit in her deception for a few beats before standing. I don't rush. I don't react. I simply rise, straighten my shoulders, and walk to the head of the table. Leadership is not just about ambition, I say, my voice steady. It's about trust. A few members of the board shift in their seats, intrigued. This company wasn't built on deception. It was built on integrity, on innovation, and on relationships. That is what made Brooke & Company thrive. But that trust has been violated. I reach for the folder I placed on the table earlier and flip it open, pulling out the financial audit results. I let the silence linger before sliding copies to each board member. The audit committee has uncovered severe financial misconduct, discrepancies in our reporting, unapproved transactions, a pattern of reckless decisions that have put this company at risk. I see it now. The tiny crack in Sam's armor, a flicker of panic in her eyes. She knew the audit would be damaging, but she thought she could contain it. You want to talk about leadership, Sam? I continue, my voice growing sharper. Then let's talk about accountability, because that is what leadership looks like. A heavy silence falls. The board members murmur among themselves, flipping through the documents. Some frown, some shake their heads. The weight of what they're seeing is sinking in. Sam recovers quickly, scoffing. This is a smear campaign. Numbers don't lie, I counter. And neither do forensic audits. I turn to the board. You have a decision to make, not just about leadership, but about the values this company stands for. The choice is yours. The board chair leans forward. It is time for the vote. Each member will submit their decision privately. The room is thick with tension as the votes are cast. I keep my expression neutral, but my heart pounds. Sam sits rigidly, her fingers curled into fists beneath the table. The board chair tallies the votes, pausing when he reaches the last one. His gaze flickers toward William Brooks. Mr. Brooks, he says, as founder, your vote will break the tie. The room stills. I hold my breath. Sam does too. Dad looks at the documents spread before him. He exhales, slow and measured. When he finally lifts his gaze, his expression is unreadable. Then he speaks. My vote. He pauses, and my pulse races. Goes to Maddie. The air shifts, a sharp intake of breath from Sam. A few exchanged glances among the board members. It's done. The board chair clears his throat. With the majority vote, the board has decided to reinstate Maddie Brooks as CEO of Brooke & Company. I release a slow breath, keeping my posture steady. I feel Derek's eyes on me from the other side of the room, but I don't turn. I look at Sam instead. She's motionless, her face blank, but her grip on the armrest of her chair is tight, white-knuckled. Then, slowly, she rises. Her movements are deliberate, controlled, but I can see it, the rage beneath her carefully constructed facade, the way her jaw tenses, the way her nostrils flare just slightly. She looks at me, and when she speaks, her voice is low, venomous. "This isn't over," she whispers. A chill moves down my spine, but I don't flinch. I meet her gaze, unwavering. "Now what?" Derek asks as I stand in the CEO's office, looking at the city below. I don't answer right away. The view stretches endlessly, lights flickering like tiny stars across the skyline. A city that never stops moving, never stops pushing forward. And now, Brooke and Company is mine. I should feel victorious, triumphant, but all I feel is exhaustion settling deep in my bones. Derek steps closer. "Maddie?" I blink, snapping back to the moment. "It's done," I say, my voice barely above a whisper. "Sam is gone. Brooke and Company is mine." The words should feel satisfying, but they don't. Derek studies me for a long moment before nodding. "I'll make sure the transition is smooth. The board is already preparing the public announcement." I nod mechanically. Everything is in motion. Everything I fought for is happening. Then why does it feel so empty? Later that evening, I hear a knock at my office door. I expect Derek, maybe a board member. Instead, it's him, William Brooks. He steps inside without waiting for permission, just as he always has. The presence of the man who built this empire is still commanding, even after everything. "You did it," he says, his voice unreadable. I cross my arms. "Looks like I did." He sighs, walking toward the window, mirroring my earlier stance. "I built this company from nothing," he murmurs, staring out at the city. "And I never thought I'd see it nearly destroyed by my own daughters." A sharp pang cuts through me, but I keep my expression neutral. "Funny," I say. "Maybe if you'd paid attention to us, things would have gone differently." He exhales, rubbing his temples. "I should have handled things differently," he admits. "I should have been a better father to both of you. I don't know what to feel. For so long I wanted this. Acknowledgement. An admission of failure. But now that I have it, it feels hollow." He turns, looking at me. "Brooke and Company is yours now. But remember, power isn't the same as leadership. Don't make the same mistakes I did." For a brief second, I see something. Regret? Maybe. Then, just like that, he walks out. I don't stop him. Hours later, I sit alone at my desk. The silence is deafening. My laptop glows in the dim light, emails flooding in from board members, investors, the press. Everyone wants a statement. Everyone wants to know what comes next. I reach for my phone instead, needing a distraction. And that's when I see it. A text. Unknown number. "You may have won this round, but I'll always be a Brooks. This isn't over." A chill runs down my spine. "Sam." I stare at the message, fingers hovering over the screen. For a second, I consider responding. Demanding answers. Acknowledging the war that will never truly end between us. Instead, I delete it. But I know, deep down, I haven't seen the last of her. I turn off my phone and walk to the window. I won. But at what cost? "Now what?" Derek asks as I stand in the CEO's office, looking at the city below. I don't answer immediately. The skyline stretches far beyond my window, glittering under the night sky. The city moves forward, indifferent to what just happened inside these walls. Brooke and Company is mine. I fought for this. I bled for this. So why does it feel like I've lost more than I've won? Derek steps closer. "Maddie?" I exhale, pressing my fingers against the cool glass. It's over. He studies me, his expression unreadable. Is it? I don't know. Later that evening, I hear a knock at my door. I already know who it is before turning around. William Brooks steps inside, his presence filling the space with something heavy, something unresolved. The office was his once, now it belongs to me. "You did it," he says. His voice holds no pride, no regret, just a simple statement of fact. I nod. "I did." He moves toward the window, mirroring my stance from earlier. "I built this company from nothing," he says, almost to himself. And I never thought I'd see it nearly destroyed by my own daughters. I don't flinch. Maybe if you'd treated us like daughters instead of business assets, things would have gone differently, I say evenly. A sigh escapes him, deep and tired. I should have handled things differently, he admits. I should have been a better father to both of you. A bitter laugh rises in my throat. And yet, here we are. He turns, looking at me for a long moment. Brooke and Company is yours now. Don't make the same mistakes I did. For the first time, there's something almost vulnerable in his face. And then, without another word, he leaves. He doesn't say goodbye. I don't stop him. The night stretches long and silent. I sit at my desk, scanning through endless emails, congratulations from board members, inquiries from investors, interview requests from the press. Everyone wants to hear from the new CEO of Brooke & Company, the company I fought for, the company I won back. And yet, I've never felt more alone. I pick up my phone, needing some kind of distraction, and that's when I see it. A message. Unknown number. You may have won this round, but I'll always be a Brooks. This isn't over. I stare at the screen. Sam. The weight in my chest tightens. I hover over the message, debating whether to respond, to demand answers, to ask her what she really means. Instead, I delete it. Because I know the truth. She's right. It isn't over. I turn off my phone and walk back to the window. I won. But at what cost? A month later, I stand in front of an audience, about to deliver the most important speech of my career. The lights are blinding, the crowd impossibly large. Business leaders, young entrepreneurs, and media representatives fill the auditorium, waiting. I grip the podium, inhaling deeply. This moment, this stage, is nothing like the battles I fought behind closed doors. Yet, in many ways, it is the culmination of them. I scan the audience, my heart steady. Then, I begin. A year ago, I thought success meant winning at all costs. I believed power was the only thing that mattered. That control was the only way to secure my future. A murmur ripples through the room. They came here expecting numbers, financial projections, and a carefully scripted corporate agenda. But I'm giving them something else. I let my voice soften, but I was wrong. Silence stretches as they wait for me to continue. Leadership isn't just about power. It's about vision. It's about trust. And sometimes, it's about knowing when to let go. As I speak, memories flash through my mind, fragments of the war I fought. The boardroom, Sam's smirk as she announced my removal. Derek, pressing legal documents into my hands, urging me to fight. The whispers, the headlines, the accusations that tried to break me. My father, watching it all unfold from the sidelines, saying nothing. Sam's venomous words before the final vote. I push the memories aside, refocusing on the room in front of me. Brooke & Company is no longer just my father's legacy, I say, lifting my chin. It's a company built on resilience, on reinvention, on the strength of those who refuse to be underestimated. The audience erupts into applause. I let the noise settle before offering one final statement. And we are just getting started. Later, in my office, the echoes of the event still linger. Messages flood my inbox. Congratulations, interview requests, new business proposals. The weight of leadership has settled on my shoulders, but for the first time, it doesn't feel like a burden. It feels like mine. I pour myself a drink, savoring the quiet. That's when I see it. An envelope, sleek and black, resting neatly on my desk. There's no sender listed. Curious, I pick it up and slide out the card inside. A simple invitation, a new startup launch, and at the bottom, a handwritten note. See you at the top. S. I blink, reading it twice. Then, I laugh softly, shaking my head. Sam. Even now, she's making moves. Even now, she refuses to disappear. A part of me wonders, will we ever stop circling each other? Will we ever be anything but rivals? I set the card down, exhaling slowly. I don't know what comes next. But I do know one thing. I'm ready. I turn toward the window, looking out over the city. Then, I whisper to myself, bring it on. Life isn't just about winning, it's about resilience, about fighting for what's yours, but also knowing when to let go. Every challenge, every betrayal, every loss, it all shapes who we become. I stand here today, not because I never failed, but because I never stopped moving forward. Strength isn't about never falling, it's about rising every single time. If my journey has taught me anything, it's this. Your value isn't defined by what you lose, but by how you rise again. Subscribe now, because your story is just beginning.